Hey guys, it's time for that question. I want to ask you, have you ever engaged in getting a coach? Whether that's a business coach or a life coach or a sports coach, a coach is a coach. But what I want to cover today in our next episode is the importance of having a coach and how that can really transform your progress in terms of whether you've got business goals or personal goals or other. I'm going to share with you some experience I've had with coaching, two very important things that a coach can bring to the table that will really make a huge difference in your life and business that I'd like you to consider. And then one thing that I want you to look out for if you are considering choosing a coach. A really important thing that I'm going to help you navigate as you make a decision about who you want to look out for to coach you. If that's where you're at the moment, I highly recommend you get a coach at some point. But let's talk about that today. Really keen to have a discussion. Let's chat. Hey guys, it's Adam Scougall of So You Want to Be an Interior Designer podcast, and we are finally over at episode 9. I've got my episodes in check today, thank goodness. But thanks for being with me. Today's a big topic of discussion. I think it's an important one. Is having a coach help you if you've got some really strong goals. But before we do that, I just want to let you know that this show is really for those interior design or decorator solopreneurs that are looking for support in building their business. And a lot of the time that business is being built while we're still working 9 to 5. So I specialize in helping people navigate through that and create and run projects before they even consider leaving their day job, if at all. So I'm glad to have you here. I'm really pleased if you're joining me every week. I'm on Apple Podcast or some of those other podcasts out there. If you're on Apple, please leave me a review. I would absolutely adore you for doing that. It helps me to get the podcast out there in the world. And then if you're on YouTube, this is also a YouTube show. Go over to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. You might be there already. And please leave me some comments and let me know what you think of the podcast. It's really important to me to know that I'm hitting the mark. Or give me feedback on other things that you think would be topics I could add to the discussion. So really pleased to have you today. Today's, before I go into today's topic of discussion, which we know is about coaching, you might want to take my quiz. Go ahead. My quiz is still active. We're going to move this quiz out shortly. It'll be a different URL, but if you're watching this as of today, go to the quiz. If you're flailing, if you're new, if you need some advice or you need some real guidance on where it is that you need to focus on, take my quiz. So You Want to Be an Interior Designer.tv/quiz, and you will get your strengths and opportunities on a whole lot of things that you need to be able to run a successful interior design business. So take the quiz if you'd like it. So You Want to Be an Interior Designer.tv/quiz. Now, onto the show, the topic of coaching. Now, I think getting a coach for yourself is such a huge deal. And I think that it's really important. So much of what we do is driven around goals and plans that we have. Now, if you're watching this show, you're really involved in making sure that your interior decorating or design business is really running at full steam. So sometimes if we have a lot of ideas and our creative minds will probably have lots of ideas bubbling around, we will need someone to navigate through, do some edits on those ideas, maybe help us tidy up some of those glitchy little ideas we have that mightn't quite work, and guide us into a direction which is going to yield positive results. So at the beginning of the episode, I said I wanted to give you 2 examples of how a good coach can really help you up 200% your business in terms of getting you up and running quickly, editing through some ideas you have, giving you great guidance, and basically helping you to move forward a lot faster than you would have been on your own. So I'm going to start off with the first point here, which is really important. When you hire a coach, one of the big benefits, point 1, is that the coach can take the blinders off your ideas. Now, what does that even mean? I'm just going to give you an idea about something that you probably realized You probably are wearing blinders at times. We're all wearing blinders, but when I talk about blinders, I'm talking about those leather or plastic screens that's attached to the horse's bridle next to its eyes. You might have seen in races, they're called blinders. And what it does is it keeps the horse focused on just going forward and running, as fast as it, or galloping, whatever it is, as fast as it possibly can to get to that finishing line. Now, if the horse, bless it, didn't have the blinders on, these are called blinders, they might be distracted by the horse to the right or left, or something happening over here or there, and they might even go completely out of the lane and somewhere else. Now, that sort of analogy is really important when we think about ourselves. Have a think about you, for example. I know plenty of times where I've gone off course. If we don't have someone that can sort of take the blinders off our ideas, and we can really flail around. So a good coach will be able to help you kind of see things that you didn't really see. Sometimes we've got our own blinders on, and we've got an idea about where we're going, but we've also got all these other things bubbling around us that are really, we need to take care of them or acknowledge them. Otherwise, they're going to get in the way of where we want to go as well. So a good coach can really edit out where you're going and that prize that you're aiming for, and they'll give you kind of ideas about what you need to look out for while you're on that journey. So my coach sort of helped me very significantly with how I felt about, for example, I am working towards creating a course and certainly a coaching program on how a newbie interior designer or decorator will run a full service design project or series of design projects whilst they're still working a 9-to-5 job. Now, I had this idea because it was my reality. I've been for 8 years able to tick over job after job after job, engaging support, contracting people, but still working very successfully in my job, and only coming in at key times where I needed to finish off the decorating project or come in earlier on for trade days and meeting with people. But I'd managed to condense it down into very short chunks of time and manage to my day job around that. Now, I thought to myself, there is so much going on in the world with the economy, some uncertain times. I've just met with a whole lot of designers yesterday for lunch, and everybody is saying they're quiet. So quiet's okay if you've got the backup in terms of financial backup to see through some of these periods. COVID was one of them, of course. But what if you don't have a lot of financial backup, or you've got, financial goals that really don't allow you to go months and months off course where you're dipping into savings, for example, or God forbid, money that you don't really have to be able to just get through in life, and it puts you behind. So one of the things that I decided to do was create a course that helps people if they want to go this route. They may still leave their 9-to-5 down the track, but they also may want to learn how to turn over these projects successfully before they even consider that, if at all. So one of the things, or one of the concerns I had, was that it wasn't a very sexy idea. It's, normally people, they do their design courses, or we do our design courses with the idea that we're going to leave our corporate job, for example, and go and do this full time. So that's a nice idea, but the reality out there is that can also be a little bit problematic, or at least unstable as we go month to month and year to year. So this was my idea. Now, where my blinders were kind of on, in the respect that I was just had this sort of idea that it wasn't sexy, and that maybe people wouldn't really want to know about it. But my coach sort of took those blinders off and said, hey, what about the fact that this is a really smart business decision? What about the fact that you're the one that has what we call a lifestyle business, where they're able to enjoy their creative side and the design stuff, and then they still have the stability of that income, and you've actually been able to make that work. And it's actually something that in this day and age, in 2023, is a very smart business idea and proposition to be able to sell to people, in the fact that it's able to stabilize people's income and still provide them with the creative outlet. Now, I realized too that it was the creative side that I needed, but I didn't necessarily also need that creative outlet to provide me with my 100% financial stability in life. So hence the reason I went back after a few years working for myself, and I got a really nice job, a full-time job that I was offered, and I still am currently doing the design on the side, and it's working great for me. But that's an example of when your coach will get in and sort of navigate through these sort of debilitating ideas. Now, if I had just been speaking in my own headspace and I didn't have this coach to sort of ask me questions and get some fears and sort of roadblocks up and sort of eliminated, then I may not have continued, or I may not be continuing in looking at that as a coaching a sort of program or course in early 2024. I may have just ditched it, and I may have decided that maybe offering any sort of coaching in this realm was maybe there were too many coaches out there. You get where I'm going. So it's really, whatever the issue is for you in your life or your business, getting a coach that's really specialized in helping you in that area is a really good move. And even if it's for a certain period of time, if you're bringing all of your fears and concerns to the table, or some of those at least, and you can sort of cut through that and see some light at the end of the tunnel, having a coach is just super important. So the first point there that I wanted to make is, yes, they can take the blinders off your ideas, which is a good thing, and help you to explore whatever else is out there, positive things or ways that you can turn things around from negative thoughts that you might have had into positive ideas. They may even agree with you. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great idea because of this, or that. And you may collaboratively sort of decide together that where you were going was not 100% where you really need to go. And then your coach might also give you another idea, which sort of gets you into another direction that kind of seems to align a lot better than the first idea you had. So coach is really important if you get the right one. Now, point 2 for you to consider today is this coach someone who's achieved what you want to achieve? So I want to tell you a story about my current coach, Jane Jackson. Now, Jane has helped me sort of navigate through setting up this podcast. And I hired her because she's been running a successful podcast for, I think, the last 8 years. So what Jane's been able to do is get this podcast up and running. It's on YouTube. It's on all podcast networks and outlets. And the other thing that she's shown me that I'm going to be introducing in season 2, we're in season 1 at the moment, is the importance of having guests on the podcast. So this first season was really to get to know you, to let you hear from the horse's mouth, sort of a bad horses, blinders, anyway. Let you hear what my thoughts are on the industry and what I feel's important. And then next season will be more or less what my guests that I bring to the table are able to teach you in terms of different strategies that you can use to bump along your design business and get things moving in a really positive way. A lot of those things I learnt about from Luan Live, which if you didn't catch last week's episode, I talk all about that conference, which was awesome. So I'm going to bring on guests in season 2 in 2024, early 2024. And guess what that does for me? And guess what Jane has kind of helped me to discover by bringing on guests instead of just having it as a solo show? Well, for one reason, the guests that I bring on, they're going to have their own audience. So what the intention is that I collaborate, or we collaborate if you're doing the same thing as a podcaster. You're collaborating with your guests. So if you bring them on, you're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be talking about their business. I'm going to be asking them questions so that they give us, you and me, answers to questions that we have as we talk through. And then I'm also going to ask that they broadcast the podcasts that I'm hosting, which is video, audio, etc. I'm going to ask them to promote that to their email list. It could be that they send a blast out to their big Instagram following, for example. Or if they've got a YouTube channel, I'll also ask them to post the podcast to the YouTube, or maybe do a quick video, a short, for example, and then link to the video that I published to tell their audience about the podcast that they've been featured on. And everyone wants to tell everybody, don't they, about podcasts that they've been featured on as guests. So guess what? Jane, the podcast coach, she's a great coach. She's actually a very well-versed coach in careers and helping people navigate through their career crossroads. But she has helped me from the podcasting perspective. And our idea next is, yes, let's get the guests in, get the guests in to talk about, their tools and strategies that can help my interior design audience. And then I'm going to ask them that they promote it to their list, which is going to drive people over to me to hopefully become aware more of what I'm doing and potentially subscribe to my podcast or my list or whatever it is. So my audience is growing by having that strategy of bringing on other people that also have their own audiences. Guess what can happen after that? I could be getting on that person's podcast if they have a podcast, and then they're going to announce to their audience, they've got me on. And to my audience, I'm going to announce again that I've got so-and-so. I'm going to be on so-and-so's podcast. So they could be on mine, I could be on theirs. It could work in a whole lot of different ways. But you can see how all of this builds my podcast awareness. And it's also giving people the opportunity giving people the opportunity to see who I feel is really going to add value to their businesses based on my interactions I've had with them. As I said, Luann Live, I met a lot of people, so I've got a list of people from that conference that I'd love to get on the show if I can. So fingers crossed, it's happening early 2024. So there are two great things about coaching. Really, the first one was, what did we say here? The first one was all about taking the blinders off your ideas. And then the second was really about, using a coach that's actually being where you've been, using someone who's achieved what you want to achieve. So Jane, my current coach, she's done the podcast. She's had the guests on. She's built her list through cross promotions with her guests. And that's a really valuable thing. Now, I want to talk about something that I've also experienced, and I've had lots of coaches. I've had lots and lots of coaches, different experiences since 2016. But what can happen is, and what I'm trying to say with this one is, I want you to try and avoid this if you can. Some coaches will sell you blocks of time or sessions, and that's absolutely fine. If you want to jump in and you're speaking about one thing one week, one thing another, that's absolutely fine. But if you really want to get engaged in a coaching program and see results that you can quantify, I would suggest that you go to someone who is offering to take you through kind of a roadmap. And this is something that I'm going to be definitely offering in my coaching when I kick that off in early 2024. So for me, I'm going to be offering 3-month plans where we start at month 1, we have 2 sessions a month, and we start off, we have a discovery call. So you and I would get on a call, for example, or you and your coach. This is just an idea. So you have a discovery call and you work out all the things, catalog all the things that you really need help with. And if you had to see yourself at the end of 3 months, what would be, the top 3 to 5 things that would really change your world if you could get to that point in 3 months? Then it's up to the coach, if they're well enough versed in the topic. Now, you might be an interior designer, decorator coming to me and saying, I'm here, Adam, nothing's happening. I really want to start from here and go to there in 3 months. It'd be awesome if I, got a new client or had all my processes sorted out or was able to, master some marketing and getting a job published. I'm making all this up. But to me, the most important thing is to have a roadmap in the beginning. So you're either giving that to your coach as a roadmap, or your coach is sort of getting information out of you, then creating a roadmap for you that's very specific to where you want to go. Now, I've had great coaches that have really helped me in that format, and I've had some not so great coaching experiences where I've got kind of loads of sessions sometimes, but because I might have too many sessions and not enough of a roadmap, I get disinterested. So I might have done a few, and then the coach is chasing me up trying to see when I'm going to schedule these last few sessions. Now, that's it's actually a big red light for the coach, because if you have to run after your coaching client to get them to fulfill their final sessions, it may or may not mean that they're engaged enough to continue coaching with the coach. But what I want to say to you is, you want to really set yourself up for success in having a roadmap. And that's the thing that I've learned from coaches that I've used, lovely people, but they haven't exactly had a roadmap for me. And the way that I like to work, or the way that I'm more effective in terms of maintaining my enthusiasm, is knowing that I'm working with my coach on very specific things. For you, it could be, I'll give you another example. You might have finished your coaching, your design college, and you're like, I don't have any clients, I don't have anything to do in terms of or work to showcase to even start a website, Adam. I just feel like I've finished my training, but I don't know how to do any promotion, or what would I put on my website? I don't want to put other people's pictures on my website. So I might decide in month 1 that you are going to create 3 projects that you're going to virtually make up. You're going to ask your friends if you can do their living room. You might do your bedroom, and you're going to beg, borrow and steal items. You're going to borrow art. You might even borrow occasional chairs from different trade suppliers. You can do this. And then you're going to create a photo shoot where you're showcasing 3 different looks that you're quite enthused about, and it's the way that you would like to design for other people. You might then do a little video about it, and you might do stories on Instagram, and these projects are really ones that you've made up. They're going to kickstart your business in terms of you photographing these rooms and releasing portions with little stories. You might even do a video. Believe it or not, I did this back in 2016. I didn't have a lot of work, or 2015, and I made over my bestie's place. I borrowed rugs, I borrowed accessories, we did all different things, moved things around, and we did a photo shoot, and you know what, it was published in a magazine. But what I'm trying to say to you is, for you starting out, something like this would be awesome. Or for me starting out, if someone said, Adam, let's create some buzz around your brand, this is what we'll do. While you look for your real first client, I would have jumped at it. It's a strategy. Month 2 might be that you set up your contract. What's in your contract? Who are you looking to work with? What are the type of people you want to work with? And how do you promote to that network? And then how do you actually get the first job? Who are you going to speak to? How are you going to do that? Are you going to do a freebie? I've said it's not a bad thing for the first job. So you get the photos and you take them through a process that has a contract. You mightn't be billing them anything, but you're taking them through your new contract. Month 3 might be to set up that website. After all of that, after those jobs that we've made up for our friends and maybe our own bedroom, I'm just making this up as you know, we are now putting those beautiful photos on the website that you created. We're linking back to Instagram, and maybe you approach a local newspaper to get you a story and talk about your new business, and the fact that you love the area and you've lived there all your life, and you're just an all-round great chick or guy. And there we go. Within 3 months, imagine having all that collateral in there, and be confident in that way in terms of kickstarting your business. Now, that is just one example of how I would work with somebody. Obviously, every story is different. Every person is different, and what they want to achieve is going to be completely different for everybody. But what I'm trying to say is, don't necessarily go in for a coaching package with a coach unless you kind of know where you're going. You know, if you've got a package of 10 and it sounds like a good deal, but you don't really know what you're going to be doing from week 1 to week 10, if you do a call a week, or even 5 calls, but what is it you're going to learn? What's the roadmap that can be created? Make sure that you've got a roadmap. And for you, you'll feel like you've achieved something at the end of either the 5 sessions, or if it's 10 sessions, you want to have a lot in there that you're actually working on, because that's a lot of sessions. And you want your enthusiasm to be maintained throughout that process, as much as the coach should want you to be enthused as well. So just some feedback, guys, on the coaching, importance of coaching. I've had lots of coaching or coaches. Some have been awesome. Some have just been pretty okay. But I've certainly had the experience of knowing what really works for me to keep me enthused, and I've shared some of that with you today. A couple of really good examples there in the beginning, and just the watch out for the third one about having a strategy so that you get a success. You're likely to get a successful outcome. You can quantify, which means that you'll remember that, which is great, because you'll probably want to work with the same coach again, and they'll get a great testimonial out of you. So you want to obviously be working together and supporting each other for a great outcome. You also want to enjoy the process. I love getting into coaching because I'm able to, if I'm upset, I can talk about what I'm upset about, and if I'm happy, I get to share that with somebody. Sometimes our significant others or family, they're just not as engaged, when it comes to what we do, which is okay. But that's why a coach is really invested in keeping you on track, making you feel good, and helping you with some of the tough stuff that you can work on together and get through successfully. So that's just my feedback, guys, on the importance of having a coach. I really do think if you're in a predicament with anything about where you're going, you should get one. I want to leave you today by saying that I believe in you, and if you're here today watching, keep going. If the road's getting tough, just hang in there. Be happy about expressing yourself as a creative person. There's a lot of need for this out there, and uncertain times will actually dissolve, and there will become times, or the times coming up, that are going to be a lot more positive if you're having a hard time. If you're having a great time, I am really happy for you. I'm really pleased that you're enjoying this wonderful industry, and it's something that I never want to give up. I love interior design and decorating, and I bet you do too. That's why you've bothered to hang around till the end of this episode today. If you need to take the quiz, or if you'd like to know, if you've got some issues with marketing, or you feel like you're not sure if charging is right on point, or if you're doing different things properly, take my quiz. Say you want to be an interior designer, .tv/quiz while it's still at that location. It only takes a couple of minutes and you'll get a personalised report. I will be moving the quiz over as my website is renewed and refreshed in the next week, so that's exciting for me as well. So I will love and leave you. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I will see you next week. We're leading up to Christmas time now, but I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, and I want you to take care. And if you want to email me and have a chat to me at any time, I would love to hear from you. My email is adam@adamscougall.com. If you want to reach out at any time, I'd love to have a chat with you and see how you're going with everything. Until next time, bye for now. Ciao.